In front of us, guys, I have the 2023 CFMoto 450 SS. Now, you guys that are fans of the channel are going to know I have had this motorcycle for far more than 30 days, and now I actually own it. We got really busy last year, and I was not able to do my 1 month review on this thing, but I am happy to say today is the day. I'm finally getting to do a 1 month review on our 2023 CFMoto 450 SS. You guys have probably seen this thing has blown the market up and is one of the absolute best beginner bikes on the market. So I cannot wait to let you guys know everything that I've realized about it in the last 30 days. Now, before we get this video started, guys, we are actually doing a giveaway on this motorcycle. So if you guys want to win it, all you got to do is go to wbrgarage.com. It is one of our 2 motorcycles that we're giving away this season. So if you want to win this bike or a 300 SS, you can get entered as little as $5. Or you can grab some merchandise. There's tons of ways to enter. Just go to that link, and this could be your next motorcycle for a very small and little investment. Anyway, this is our 1 month review, guys. Now, if you're watching this video, that means you've probably already watched our first ride, and that was my first impressions of this motorcycle. But since then, I've spent a lot more time on the bike. I've got a feel for the bike at this point. So in today's video, I'm nitpicking all of the little things that I like and didn't like about the motorcycle, so you can have a more owner's review of the bike instead of just my initial impressions. And with all that being said, let's get into this thing. All right, guys, first up, I like to start with the pros of the bike, and the first thing we got to talk about are the looks of this thing. For an entry-level motorcycle that has a 450 engine, I think this bike is hands down the best looking bike out there. We've got these beautiful LEDs that have a really neat turn-on sequence. It's the tiny things, man. It's the tiny things. I love the white with the black and the blue. That's the color combo we have here. I just love everything about it. The only thing about the looks that kind of don't vibe with me is this little logoing. I don't get the whole like lined SS thing. It is what it is, but I'm not super here for it. But everything else, looks-wise, I absolutely love. Let me show you the tail if you haven't seen the tail. That also has a turn-on sequence. Look at that, it kind of pulsates to start the bike up. But I think CFMoto have absolutely nailed the looks on this bike, and it's one of my absolute favorite aspects. You don't get a lot of entry-level bikes that have the looks this well dialed in. But let's be honest, you guys are here to hear me ride it and talk about what I like and don't like. You guys on the front, we're on a little crooked angle today. Let's get the bike cranked up so you guys can hear it. Yes, that is a 450cc bike that sounds like that. I'll explain why. So guys, you're probably wondering to yourself, Chase, that's a kind of small CC motorcycle to sound so beefy. And you would be correct. The reasoning for that is CFMoto went with their 450cc parallel twin, but it has a 270-degree crank. A few motorcycles on the market are doing this these days, but it essentially makes a parallel twin sound like a V4 or something like that. Just something real meaty and beefy, and I absolutely love it. And this is a stock exhaust, so this is how the bike just sounds. Now, being that this is one of our giveaway motorcycles, we're probably going to be doing a new exhaust on it. I don't know what exhaust, I don't know any of the details yet, so you guys are going to have to subscribe to find out what we end up doing to it. But if the bike sounds this good stock, I cannot imagine what getting a nice exhaust on here is going to make it sound like. And hey, connected to that exhaust is the engine, and that's one of the next things I want to talk about is this power plant. Now, this 450 parallel twin, CFMoto are putting in a few of their motorcycles. We've got it in the 450 SS here. We've got it in the 450 NK. We actually have one of those in the garage right now. And they're soon to be 450 Ibex. So they're really stretching the legs of this engine. And I gotta say, guys, of all of the power plants on the market right now, I think the CFMoto's 450 is in my top 3 favorite power plants. With this power plant, they have found this perfect mixture of feel and torque and power and lightweightness, because it's all like this, you know, balance thing. You want to get all the things right. You don't want to have a lot in one direction or the other. You don't want to have a really light engine but it have no power. You know, that's what I mean. You don't want to have a really powerful engine but have too heavy or something like that. So I really think CFMoto has found just an absolutely gorgeous little spot with their 450 engine, and I absolutely love it. It has punch down low. It's not too much to like really get away from you. So I could see an entry-level rider getting on this and still having a lot of room to grow into. And then you have a rider like me who's a little more experienced, and you've got plenty of power to have a good time. I have been surprised, actually. I didn't expect 300 to 450 to be that big of a power change, and it most certainly is. If you're an experienced rider or you know, have ridden other bikes in the past, don't write off a 450 engine. I love this engine, not only for this platform, I love it in the 450 NK, and it's gotten me really excited for the 450 Ibex. Regardless, I love this power plant. Is it a little smaller? Yeah, but the balance of, you know, punch that it has, chef's kiss, absolutely.
Beautiful.
Next up, we got to talk about something that this bike has that kind of makes it stand out, and that is that beautiful TFT full color dash that it has. CFMoto are beginning to get a name for themselves for putting really nice premium features in motorcycles that don't normally get those at a price point that makes absolutely no sense. It's a very interesting name to give, you know, to start being known for. But we do have this beautiful TFT Dash in this bike. It's got tons of information. It's got multiple views. Oh, I got a yellow light. Perfect. I'll show you guys the other layout. All right, so let me go back. So this is one layout, right? Okay, the RPM's in the bottom. We got the speed in the middle. And then a couple button clicks. And I want you guys to notice how easy all of this is to do. And then, so you have concession, and then classic. Let's go to classic real quick. Boom, all the way out. Look how responsive that shit is. And now we have that. Oh my God, perfect timing. Oh my gosh, that was great. So TFT Dash looks great. You get multiple layouts for your information in case one just vibes with you better. And did you guys notice how freaking responsive that TFT was? This is a entry-level motorcycle, and it has a TFT with a really fast user interface. Unheard of. Like, I love it. I'm super thankful for it. I'm glad this exists in the market, but I'm just shocked at how well that is for this price of a motorcycle. There's bikes that cost 3 times what this bike costs, and you don't get that. So take that in consideration. All right, next thing we can talk about that I've absolutely come to love with this bike are these mirrors. Now, one, I feel like the design of the mirrors, the way they look and they're shaped, look really good with the motorcycle. That doesn't happen all the time. Most of the time, mirrors come across as this afterthought that the motorcycle company is like, oh shoot, right, we got to put mirrors on it. Hey, grab those little circle things and put them on the bike. That's normally what happens. That is not what happened here. One, again, with this lower cost bike, we have integrated turn signals with these mirrors that look fantastic. And the mirrors actually work great. They give you a really good sense of what's going on around you. And riding around town, I feel great using them. They are a bit far away, so I wish they were a little closer, but they work really well, so I can't really complain. And now that brings me to the next thing that has just been a highlight moment of this bike, and that is how nimble and easy to ride it is, which I love for it because as of right now, this is the bike I recommend for beginners. It's my favorite one. I think it's the best features you get in a bike, and it's also very nimble and fun to ride if you're a more experienced rider. The weight is so light, mixed with this punchy engine, it's effortless to just really get this bike going over. That mixed with the exhaust sound, it sounds fun, it rides fun, it's lightweight so you can really get into it. I just think this bike is an overall package, and I love it for all of the reasons that I just described. That being said, it is not perfect, so now we got to get into the negatives. First thing we gotta talk about, perfect that we're not moving, is the clutch. Now, the clutch and the brake are both adjustable. Love that. They're blacked out. Love that. But the engagement of the clutch, I'm not a huge fan of. I want you guys to watch. I'm going to stand up off the bike so it moves for me. The clutch doesn't engage until right at the end of that. Now, I've adjusted this clutch left and right, up and down, back and forth. I cannot find the spot where I'm happy with the clutch lever. And you only have like a micro amount of play before it's fully disengaged or fully engaged, and it happens at the very end of the throw. So that combination of things I don't love. I feel like I could ride the bike way harder and way more efficient if I had a longer throw of the clutch. So one of the things I plan on doing now that this is one of our giveaway bikes and I can kind of adjust it and modify it like I want to find a good clutch lever, you know, a good aftermarket one, and see if I can kind of solve that issue for myself. It's probably my most wanted change of this bike is that little clutch lever. I do appreciate that it's adjustable, so like props, but I just haven't found an adjustment that really works for me yet. All right, so next up, let's talk about the body position on this bike. It's kind of weird, and I think some of you guys might not really fit with this bike. So overall, the 450 SS does put the rider in a bit more of an aggressive body position, and I would say my legs, before we get into this, let me just say, I'm 5'10", got a 32-inch inseam, so keep that in mind. Now, the 450 SS does have a more sportier body position, and that means your legs are going to be a little cramped up. That's with a 5'10" guy. So imagine if you were something like 6 foot tall or something. I don't think somebody that's above my height would really fit comfortably on this bike. And maybe you will, but I would say go and sit on one. If you're over 5'10", 5'11", and you're thinking about the 450 SS, just go to a dealer, find one, go sit on it, and just double check, because I find myself kind of crunched up. Now that's kind of normal for a sport body position, but it's just kind of surprising because your bottom half is in like a super sport stance almost, but then your top half is only slightly leaned over. So there's this weird combination of like, am I in a sport position, you know, on the top where I'm just slightly leaned over? I would expect my legs to be a little more or less cramped. And then your legs are over here like, I'm in a super sport position, let's go. If it was me, I don't know if I can make this modification, but I would like the seat to be slightly raised, only a small amount. That would alleviate some of the strain on your lower part and give you a little more sport on the top half. And I think that would kind of even the whole ergonomics for the rider of this motorcycle. I don't know if you can do that. I don't know how big changing the seat would be, but that's something that I would like to do if possible. Speaking of all that, that kind of leads us pretty well into the seat. Now, for, 1 hour, 2 hour rides, I don't think the seat's that big of a deal, but on longer rides, I would like to see the seat be a little more comfortable. I guess because of the body position the rider is in with this bike, it ends up making the seat a little uncomfortable for me. Again, and I'm only talking on like the 2 hours plus ride. Maybe one of the videos we need to make would be a long day in the saddle on this bike. Something like a 6 to 8 hour day. You guys let me know in the comments if you guys want to see a video like that, and I'll put my body through the pain to let you guys know how it does. Let's go. Let's use the punchy power. Look at that. I love this thing. But yeah, would like to see the seat a little more comfortable. Now, the weird thing about the seat is I don't know if it needs to be harder or softer, because if you guys have never ridden for a long period of time, seats are kind of weird. Some of the most comfortable seats are a little harder, and that's because, it helps your butt like not sink into it or whatever. So I don't know what the seat needs to be. I wish, this just sounds stupid, Yamaha makes fantastic comfort options for their seats. On my MT-10, for example, I have Yamaha's comfort seat option. I love it. I could ride that bike all day, every day. I mean, I basically do. And it's super great, super comfy. I wish CFMoto would do whatever Yamaha does and make a comfort seat option for this bike, because it is a sport bike, right? My upper half is kind of back, so I'm gonna naturally put more weight on my butt. It's just gonna be handling more of my weight. So there's that. The next thing we gotta talk about is the suspension. And now, this topic is kind of like a double-edged sword, and I'll explain. The suspension is kind of soft. Now, what that does for this bike as it currently is it makes it very pleasurable to ride. It's very smooth. It doesn't, like, you know, you're not feeling every little bump in the road, and it makes it very comfortable. Honestly, you can ride this bike forever, and the suspension is just going to smooth everything out for you. The only problem with the suspension being that soft is that when you get on the motorcycle, you can really feel the suspension go up and down. And when you start pushing this bike, and I've only moderately pushed it, I haven't even done a track day. That's another video I need to do. I need to see if I can get an amp on this thing. Sorry, I was in there talking about the bike with you guys, and I'm not used to having a motorcycle that I'm doing a giveaway on where I can just make whatever video I want. So I've got all these video ideas just like popping in my head. That's like, I'm gonna have the bike long enough to do that. This is great. Sorry, I get excited about making motorcycle videos for you guys. Anyway, when you start pushing the bike harder than you normally do, and I'm talking medium push from what I've done, you start really feeling, I don't even know how to explain it. You know, like a soft suspension just doesn't give you the feedback and the feel out of the front that you need, because naturally it's not going up and down as fast, and that's what makes it feel smooth. But you lose out on that feeling and like every little minute detail. So I guess what I really am asking for is a set of adjustable suspension on this bike, because, you know, if you're going to be one of those riders that just, you're going to do city riding and stuff like that, I don't think you need to adjust the suspension at all. I think it's going to be fantastic for you, actually. But if you're one of those guys that looks at this bike and is like, man, maybe that could be like a little track bike for me, I think there's going to be some want to do some suspension adjusting. So it's definitely something to look into, just like this car is looking into what lane they want to be in. But yeah, if it were me, I think I would trade off some of the comfort that I get with the softer suspension and just make it a couple clicks harder, a little stiffen it up. I think that would be like the perfect zone for me personally. But that's because I'm a guy that likes the more sporty riding, and I'll sacrifice some comfort just to get a little more feel out of that suspension. Alrighty, next thing I want to talk about, this only matters if you like phone mounts. So if you don't use a phone mount, that's fine. But one of my downfalls of this bike is it doesn't really have a great place to use or to mount a quad lock. Quad Lock's a sponsor of the channel. They're that fantastic phone mount where you literally click your phone on and rotate it and it just locks into there. I love having a phone mount on my bike. I love to have it for navigation. Matter of fact, fun story, yesterday, my sister-in-law and brother-in-law were in labor, about to give birth to their first kid. Shout out to Hill and Ryan, love you guys long time. But I was going to the hospital to see them last night, and I was going to a hospital I had never gone to before. I had absolutely no idea of how to get there, and I was taking this motorcycle because I love riding it, and I got lost 3 times because Apple Maps decided to literally just not tell me when to turn and led me into like a road closed area. It was absolutely ridiculous, and it wouldn't have happened if I would have had my phone in front of me on a quad lock. But because this bike doesn't really have anywhere like to mount that, I couldn't mount a quad lock. I can't do the fork stem mount because I got this little thing. It doesn't have handlebars, so I can't do the handlebar mount. And quad lock even has that cool front brake reservoir like grab thing, but the reservoir has to be a square and this one's a circle. So literally, quad lock's awesome. They make like a million mounts for literally everything, and somehow this motorcycle circumnavigated every one of those and doesn't have a single way to use a quad lock on the whole bike. So that sucked. But whatever, I ended up getting to the hospital and getting to see them, and they're awesome. I just had a little bit of an issue getting there. It was throwing me back to old school days where it's like you're trying to find where you're going, and you kind of got GPS audio in your ears sometimes. I don't know. It was funny, and I thought that was a funny story. I'm sure you guys can relate that use phone mounts. Okay, so final little thing I want to touch on with this bike is the throttle free play before it actually engages. So the throttling feels great once you're like into the power, but this is one of those throttles that has a good bit amount of free play before it engages, and it's a little more than I really wish it did. So now that we're coming up to a red light, I'll pull the clutch in. Look how much free play that does. You can actually see the RPMs. I'm not revving it at all. This is just wiggling, okay? So a lot of Ducatis have that issue, have that little thing, and there's like these weird little spacers you can get for them. I'm not sure if there's a real fix for that on this bike. You know, some bikes just have more free play than the others in the throttle. I'm not a huge fan of it. I don't like there to be much free play at all, because I want that minute ability to like change the throttle position and, you know, like come into the throttle really smooth. It's kind of hard to do that when there's a lot of free play. So not a huge fan of that. If I'm going to be honest, none of these negatives are even close to deal breakers. But you guys know in my 1 month reviews, I really like to try to nitpick the motorcycle as much as I can, because that's what these videos are all about. Like me finding out the tiny little details that I like or don't like, and that's that's it for me on this one. So to sum it all up, I've been riding the 450 SS for quite a while now. Here and there, the schedule got crazy last year, and I didn't get to ride it as much as I really wanted to, but my overall opinion on this motorcycle has not changed. I absolutely love it for a first bike. I think it's a phenomenal, like caps lock phenomenal option in the market, and I think it's a fantastic bike for somebody that's both never ridden before and somebody like me with a ton of experience. This bike just offers a ton of features that make it a fantastic buy for you guys wherever you are in your motorcycle journey. I really think this is a super fun bike. But yeah, guys, overall, I absolutely love this motorcycle. It's my current favorite beginner bike, which is why we're doing a giveaway on it, because I think it would bring the most value to you guys. So that's it for this video. Make sure to hit that like button, guys. If you want to win this motorcycle, it's links down below to wbrgarage.com. We will be giving it away. You can check the website for when we're going to give it away. I don't really remember the date off the top of my head, but it'll be on there. And you guys ride safe out there. Put OC in your comment if you made it to this point in the video. That stands for Outro Crew, and lets me know you made it to the end. So guys, let me know, what is your favorite entry-level motorcycle on the market right now? Is it the 450 SS, or do you disagree with me? But if you disagree with me, you gotta tell me why. Alrighty guys, I'm Chaseontwowheels. You guys ride safe. I will see you on the next one. Later.